Hello, my name is Odessa Burkett, and this is my final for The Landscape of Higher Education. My presentation is called Navigating Higher Education, and is based on my three-part interview with Aaron Lorenz, a dean at Ramapo College. Here is an overview of my presentation. I will begin by sharing information on Ramapo College and Lorenz's biography. Then I will review the three essential principles of higher education, and then relate these three principles to each of my interviews, which focus on leadership and organization at Ramapo, external influences that affect the school, and then how the school relates and interacts with the greater society. Ramapo College is the only public liberal arts college in New Jersey. It was established in 1969 and is located in Mahwah, New Jersey, which is about an hour outside of New York City. It's a mid-sized school with just under 6,000 undergraduates and just under 500 graduate students. 95% of the students are from the state of New Jersey. The school actually began strictly as a commuter campus, but they did build residential halls in the late 80s, and today about half of students live on campus. Since its inception, Ramapo has been dedicated to serving both economically underserved populations and the middle class of New Jersey. Aaron Lorenz is the Dean of the School of Social Science and Human Services at Ramapo College. He has been the Dean for 5 years, but at Ramapo for a total of 11. Previous to being Dean, he was on the tenure track as Professor in Law and Society at Ramapo, and prior to that, he obtained his PhD and taught at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. As a professor at Ramapo, he began doing many administrative tasks and getting involved with leading programs such as the Living Learning Community, and he found he liked these responsibilities and he was good at them, so he then applied to the dean position per suggestion of the provost. For the past 5 years, he's been navigating being an administrator in higher education, and he was able to offer extensive insight on the interworking of Ramapo and the responsibility of any leader in higher education. These are the three essential principles of a higher education institution as laid out in Academic Leadership and Governance of Higher Education, our textbook. And I will be connecting all my findings from my interviews with Lorenz to these three elements, which are institutional decisions are made based on a core mission and set of values. Institutional adaptation to environmental change is in alignment with the mission and core values. And finally, institutional leaders seek to create and foster democratic partnerships with myriad constituents. In alignment with the first core principle of a successful school in higher education, Ramapo's mission states, Ramapo College is committed to academic excellence through interdisciplinary and experiential learning and international and intercultural understanding. They emphasize teaching and individual attention to all students and promote diversity, inclusiveness, sustainability, student engagement, and community involvement. The culture at Ramapo, which pertains to the embedded beliefs and values at the school, is that of students seeking an affordable and effective liberal arts education in order to advance themselves and positively impact the world. In discussing how Lorenz navigates leadership and decision-making within the structure of higher education, he alluded to it being a loosely coupled system, a term coined by Carl Weck that refers to a system that has various parts which operate autonomously, yet must stay connected and informed of each other's actions and objectives. Lorenz deals with this in his daily work and says he can rarely make a decision on the spot, as he must obtain information and discuss matters with others first. In order to stay on top of this, he has regular meetings scheduled with colleagues. This ensures that all decisions are made in a way that looks out for everyone's best interests, not just one department. Although this process is complex and highly politicized, Lorenz believes this practice of shared governance is ultimately necessary for any institution of higher education to be successful. Another key part of any successful institution of higher education is innovating with the times. Ramapo does not change rapidly with each new innovation, but they do ensure they are progressing in order to remain relevant. For instance, they are building a new learning commons, formerly known as a library, in order to encourage student interactions and foster community on campus. And they are adding sustainability as a major, which is proven to be a growing field for the future. Overall, Lorenz finds his focus is primarily on academics and community. This collective individualism is created on campuses, where diverse students come together to share in a unified experience through the pursuit of education. Throughout the complicated organizational structure, Ramapo aligns all efforts with their mission and core values. Although Ramapo works hard at maintaining a sense of community on campus, they do not exist in a bubble. As Hendrickson and team state, any successful leaders in education seek to create and foster democratic partnerships with myriad constituents. Ramapo and Lorenz do this in several ways. The first external influence and close partnership they have is with the state of New Jersey. As public state college, they are funded by the state. Right now, they are receiving 20% of funding from New Jersey. In turn, they are accountable to the taxpayers of New Jersey and bettering the state that they live in, while abiding by their guidelines. Lorenz feels this state control in his day-to-day interactions. For instance, he cannot pay for someone's lunch or have them pay for his, and they are limited with the amount of scholarships they can give out each year, which is more rigid than most private schools' parameters. Furthermore, all of his decisions will eventually flow to the Board of Trustees, which is appointed by the governor. Next, an influence of all institutions of higher education is the federal government. The federal government provides significant funding, which most schools would be out of business without. To obtain this funding, schools must abide by the guidance put forth by the federal government, as well as any rules and regulations. Lorenz does not feel federal control in his everyday work. However, he does pay close attention to any guidance put forth by the Department of Education, as he knows this will eventually trickle down and can affect schools in real ways. Last but not least is the local community. Ramapo works to engage the community by hosting open events to encourage interaction, as well as have students embarked on experiential learning opportunities in the community. We'll look at this further on the next slide. Overall, Ramapo is dedicated to inspiring students to make a positive impact on the world. In alignment with our text, Ramapo sees higher education in a greater context than just the individual. In educating students, they look for them to make contributions to society and be responsible citizens. As stated in their mission statement, Ramapo does this through interdisciplinary learning and experiential learning opportunities, as well as promoting active engagement in the surrounding community. As Saltmarsh, Hartley, and Clayton conclude, this civic engagement is mutually beneficial to both the students getting experience and to the community, as well as is an imperative duty of higher education institutions. Lorenz illuminated the true meaning and inspiration he finds working in higher education. He says, the whole notion of education is not input-output. It's that you have a more fulfilling life and every interaction becomes an intellectual experience. If we don't spend time defending that, I think it gets chipped away. As a higher education professional, I am dedicated to defending this notion and will take this invaluable advice into my career going forward. Thanks so much for watching my presentation today. Here are my references, and I hope you enjoyed it.